Hi and welcome to another Memories Made video. I'm designer Jen Gallacher, and in these scrapbooking process videos, I share how I build some of my layouts. If you like the look of the products in this particular layout, be sure to visit the blog post that's listed in the video description, as I do try to link you to the products I have used, as well as similar items if items I've used are out of stock or older. So today we're going to create a layout that's a little more on the bright side. And we're starting with this beautiful piece of paper that has a scene up here in the right-hand corner. Now, when you're using a paper like this that has a scene, I try to leave the scene intact, and I'm going to support the colors found in this balloon. You can see there's yellow and red. And then we're going to build the layout on this bottom left side. There's no reason why your layout has to be completely centered in the middle. So we're going to be using some different embellishments and elements to do some layering. You know that I love my layering. So this particular piece of pattern paper comes from an 8x8 dots and stripes pad from Echo Park Paper, and I've just ripped it out of the top of the pad, and I'm going to leave that dot here because that gives me a little bit longer than an 8-inch tall piece of paper, probably about 8.5, 8 3/4. And this is going to form the start and the foundation of our layout. Again, remember to leave some on this side to play with. Up here at the top, I'm going to add a couple of embellishments. One is a tag from American Crafts from their DIY collection. And we're going to tuck this behind. You could also trim that tag off a little if you wanted to. And then this is an older product from Pebbles. I love pockets and things, and you can add additional journaling to it. You could also use the pocket and place photos inside of it, or you could just use the journaling card. If you're a pocket page scrapbooker, these will also slide inside a sheet protector. So lots of options here, but I want the eye to concentrate on about this much of the pocket. So we're going to lift up that red sheet again. And you'll notice I place one a little lower and one a little higher. If after moving all those blocks, it still seems a little bit like it's not sticking, you may need to come back and stick it on. Then across the center of the page, we're going to use 6x6 paper pad pieces. And these are from a Pebbles collection. And again, I will link you to the products. I'm going to use the wood grain, and I'm going to use this paper that has a grid of numbers on it. Now you could trim the 6x6 paper pads if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and cover that hole at the bottom. I'm going to overlap slightly on this side, and then we'll place the other one on top, and we'll overlap slightly on the other side. Now the reason why I do this, use 6x6 paper pads instead of full sheets of paper, is I'm a little bit cheap and I like a collection, but I don't want to buy every piece of paper and it gets expensive. So I usually buy the 6x6 paper pad, so then I don't have to decide exactly which ones I want to buy and which ones I don't. I can just get everything I want because it comes in the 6x6 pad. To the top here, we're going to add some yellow, and this is going to bring in that yellow. What I do is when I'm shopping my supplies, I would take this piece of paper, I would open my scraps folder that has yellow in it, and I would search for a yellow that closely matches. And that's how I get elements that all work together. I don't always use a collection that is meant to go together. I simply shop my supplies for things that will work. And this is one reason to keep some scraps on hand. So we're going to overlap here. You can see there's different widths and layers just to keep it interesting. Across the top here, I have two stickers, and these are again from an American Crafts, and they are beautiful foam script. And you can see that in placement, what I did is I cut off the backing, I cut around it so that I could get a feel for how it's going to look. And I realized I wanted to bring a little bit more black in, so I have some triangle shapes. And I'm going to take, this is also a Simple Stories pattern paper. It's from the same collection as this yellow one. And then I'm going to take this Great Punch from EK Success. And I usually punch upside down so that I can see the design that I'm punching. And I try to capture an interesting design. I kind of punch halfway in and then finish punching once I get the design that I like. And I'm just going to play with these a little bit to see how best to bring in some of that black color. And because I'm not sure yet of the placement, I'm just going to leave them there without attaching them. To the bottom here, we're going to place a 4x6 card from Bella Boulevard. It is from a little boy collection, and it has lots of bright colors in it. And the journaling card just has a bunch of different summer type activities. You'll notice that there's pink on the other side, but I wanted to concentrate on the green. And because it is green and 4x6, or rather because it's 4x6, it perfectly fits across my 6x6 piece of pattern paper. Again, some more layering. We're going to take a ephemera piece from crepe paper. We're going to take some October afternoon ephemera pieces. They're little tidbits and things. This one says hello, here we go again. Now these come double-sided, so if you prefer to do your own writing and your own stickers on top, you can. For instance, this one that says right here, it's solid on the back. So lots of options. I am going to cut the top of this tag off. I'm going to add some embroidery floss to it. Or rather just some twine, just to make it look like the tan tag at the top. We're going to tie it just like the one at the top. So I'm going to stick my finger, my pinky in there to hold the hole in place so it doesn't get slipped down all the way. It's getting away from me a little bit. And then I just cut off the extra pieces of twine. So again, I didn't waste the tag, and I can use this for another project if I so desire. So let's go ahead, place this behind the green. So you're going to see me do lots of layers. I'm going to layer in each layer, and that will give it just a robust kind of almost busy fill, but not quite. Put this one on top, and then we'll layer the right here, right below it. So you can see I'm just kind of layering a bunch of different items. To the side here, we're going to take some more of those tidbit pieces from October afternoon. These are just some circle pieces. Again, they are double-sided, so you can turn them around if you so desire. We're just going to run them down the left side of the layout. And what I love is that there are companies that are mixed and matched on this particular layout. And I like that because it is interesting how companies are inspired by the same colors. And so a lot of times you can mix and match companies' products because there are similar colors that we wear when we take photos, and these inspire manufacturers when they're designing. So that works out rather well for us. All right, let's talk about the journaling block. What I started with is a piece of craft cardstock, and you can see that I've already printed on it from my computer printer. I printed it out on printer paper. Then I took the piece of cardstock I wanted to use, and you can see there's some adhesive. You can also see I stamped on this. This is a scratch piece of paper, but I took some adhesive, I placed it right on the printer paper, and then I ran it through my printer again. So I'm going to place this here at the bottom. Let's go ahead and lift some of these dots up. And I'm finding that maybe the journaling is going to be covered if I put all 3 colored dots there. So let's just concentrate on using 3 of the dots. So sometimes I'll get into the design and I'll change my mind a little bit, and that's okay. Now, one thing that I enjoy doing is I enjoy dressing up my journaling blocks. So we're going to take a Versamark stamping ink, and we're going to take a Technique Tuesday stamp set. And what I will do is I will either pre-plan based on the phrase, and I'll leave some space in my journaling, or else afterwards I'll see what stamping phrase will best fit. And this particular one says, you make the best, you are pretty much the best ever, or you make my heart smile. And I think we're going to do either you make my heart smile or this one at the top that says, I like you, I really do. So when you're using this kind of stamp, you need a clear acrylic block. And I'm using this particular one from Stampabilities, and you can see it has a grid on it. The nice thing about a grid is that it allows you to place your stamp onto the acrylic block and perfectly align the phrase. So this is great when I'm using phrases. I try to use ones that have a grid. If I don't have one handy or I can't find mine, then I'll just eyeball it as best I can, or I'll even place it on a piece of paper and get a feel for if it is straight. So we're going to use Versamark ink because it's going to bring out just a subtle color of craft. And you want to press firmly, but don't rock the stamp. So you can see it's just very subtle, and it will darken a little bit as it dries. All right, starting to build this. Now let's talk about the photos. I have a couple of frames also from crepe paper, as well as some photos that I have printed and pre-cut to fit this page. So we're going to adhere this to the block using some glue dots. And these are chipboard. Some companies and sometimes even crepe paper does more of a thin chipboard. I really love how frames kind of dress up a photo. You can create your own by using your Silhouette die cut machine, or for this one you could use a paper punch, and you could punch out the center and then punch it out again with a larger one so it's framed. So think about unique ways to frame your punches. I want to make sure there are some little numbers down here. I want to make sure that that is facing the right way for this particular one. Sometimes I may turn it on its side, and that works as well. But today I'm going to leave it straight up, but I may end up covering it with that red frame. So now once I've got them attached to the frame, I'll add a few more glue dots on the back. And the reason why I'm using glue dots is I find that these heavier items tend to slip in my scrapbooking layouts once I put them in my albums. So I use heavier materials. And I want to make sure I'm not covering my journaling or my son's friend's face. So once I get the back one placed, try and think of putting the back one down first, then I'll come back with the top layer. And we're going to overlap a little bit. I want to make sure we can read the phrase that we just stamped. Now we can go ahead and place some of these black triangles on the page, and let's do one that has a little bit sharper of a point. We'll bring in some black underneath, and what I want you to notice is when I place these down, some are going to point down and some are going to point up. And this creates almost like a puzzle effect on the page. You'll also notice that I'm going to offset them a little bit, meaning I'm not going to perfectly place them by each other. This is also a little bit more interesting. What that does is that brings in the black from the title and the black from the frame up to the top and around the page. We'll add the title here. One other way that you can place your title to get a feel for it is you can place it on a transparency or halfway onto a ruler and get a feel for placement that way. So I usually test out placement before I place it down. And then you'll notice I'm not pushing anything down right now. I'm just kind of placing it. Then if I like it, then I'll go back in and kind of press it into the page. Down here at the bottom to the frame, I want to add a Jelly Bean Soup sticker. It says keep in touch. I thought that was appropriate for a page about friends. And we are going to trim off part of that sticker. You'll notice I trim my stickers and embellishments a lot because I want them to look a certain way. So I'll do that to keep in touch here. And then I think the page needs some enamel dots because what page is finished without some enamel dots? And maybe we'll add some washi tape as well. Overlap that black piece. So we have a cluster of dots down here. And we'll come up here and maybe add some as well to the blue teal pocket and the black triangle. Just creates kind of this visual triangle here. And then I pulled from my washi tape collection a couple of different tapes. I have a Days of the Week from KI. I have a Bella Boulevard chevron. And then I also have this fun red zigzag tape, and I don't remember where I got it, but I do love it. So what I'll do to figure out which tape I want to use is I'll start pulling it out. And then the nice thing about tape is if you don't push it down all the way, you can easily pull it back up. Although I have found that when I place it on photos, it is down for good. So do make sure if you're dealing with a photo that you remember that. And we'll add some at the top here. And I'm actually going to slip it beneath that photo frame. So you'll see that I don't always plan my pages and the placement perfectly. Sometimes I go back and I have to move things to get it right. And we'll smooth that out. Then I think I'll bring in, I've had these cool freckled fawn paper clips that are in the shapes of stars. And I wanted to see what they would look like on the page. So we'll go ahead and connect them, and it takes a little bit of detective work initially to kind of figure out how these attach to the page. So you might have to move them around until you get the placement how you want. And it took me a little bit to figure out how these attach. So play around with them a little bit, but they're a little bit fun because I love paper clips, and having a shape rather than just a traditional one is fun, and stars just seem really, really appropriate for a boy's layout. So thank you for joining me for today's Memories Made video. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on these tutorial videos. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers, and at 4,000 subscribers, I'm going to do a giveaway. So be sure to share this video with your friends and make sure you've subscribed. If you like the techniques that I've used in this particular layout, be sure to check out my website at jengallacher.com. Currently, I'm teaching 2 classes. One is online with the Craftsy platform, in which I share all my scrapbooking secrets, and the other is called Product Playground and is offered through Big Picture classes. All the details can be found again at jengallacher.com.